Let's see if all the other Jans are ready for action. Team Jan, you good to go? Yep, we good. So here we are with our first game against Let's LOL Gamer. I've been looking at some chess, not a whole lot. Maybe I shouldn't spoil all my very limited preparation in this game against Let's LOL Gamer just yet. But if not, how can I even generate any chances against this guy? Who is rocking? Is that an orangutan? A very scary looking avatar. This line I'm playing is, what's the expert term for it? Nonsense. After CD, ED, black more or less wins a tempo because there is a comparable line where black goes bishop e7 instead of c6. He often still wants to go bishop e7 to d4. Here I allowed him to do all this in one go, which means he should have zero problems really. Bishop to f5. It's an equal position. At the opening, the gods have put the middle game. So there is still chess to be played against Let's LOL Gamer. He plays bishop f5, good move. The only way I can think of to even ask a question is queen to b3, because if you have to go b6 in such structures, it tends to be somewhat awkward. As you can tell by me struggling with finding words, I haven't really spoken to a human being for quite some days, except for the occasional calls home and saying one mistake and please. So my speech might be a little rusty. That's not true. I've also said one time massage, please. Also not true. But yeah, I am here by myself, trying to force myself to read some books and look at some chess while relaxing a little bit and also, of course, fighting jet lag. As for the position and the fight against the tough Let's LOL Gamer, I still am not too thrilled about it, but now the b6, at least the c6 pawn, should be a long-term target. So there is something to work with. While if black gets the structure with a pawn on, what's the square called? b7. Black is generally just slightly better. Well, here, yeah, I see no reason to delay castles anymore. The rook on the h file looks nice, but it's not really doing anything. Well, here at least you could think of some scenarios where something good happens to me. Not 100% sure what to do next. This bishop on f5 is strong, so knight to h4, trying to chase it off with great post. Does move queen a4 or bishop a4. Also come into account that they're not achieving for now. The rook on c7, the black queen side reasonable. What was that? Ah, I understand. He goes h6, which is a very decent anticipation of my devious plan of maybe challenging this bishop. I'm wondering if it's worth it going bishop d3, exchanging the guy altogether, and then trying to double rooks on c4 and lay siege on this c6 pawn. But he solves all my worries for me by removing that bishop without me politely asking for it, which is good news. Now I have some plans. Bishop d3, knight e2, attack the c6 pawn. I put the knight on f4, so this looks fairly decent. I've also been reading a bunch of chess books. And what have I been reading? I've been reading a book called The Longest Game, the Kasparov-Karpov matches. It was an entertaining read. Not that much news, because I had read all these Kasparov books about his 3 matches. Not about the 3 matches, I think 3 volumes. After I read all these books, I should know how many matches those were, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. bunch of matches they played against each other. Hmm. And yet one mentions as much in the introduction that his approach was to make it somewhat less dense and have it all in one volume. And yeah, was an enjoyable read. Well said, read. I read Sokolov's book. I don't know what the title was, about initiative and sacrifices in chess. Was inspiring. Then again, whenever I try to sacrifice something or play for the initiative, normally I just get crushed like a little. So probably it's still reading material before a tournament. I should be reading like how to play like a dry, boring old grandmaster, which is how I hope to play. Queen b8, decent move. Knight b5, rook c6, and I do not really see rolls yet. Still, it does feel like there should be something to work with here. Hmm. Right, but I really don't have a follow-up to rook c6, which is a bit sad. So I will resort to my usual strategy of making completely pointless random moves like queen to a3 and hope that lets LOL Gamer get so confused by my lack of from himself. Not yet. Actually, now I can take on b5. Hmm. Yeah, you have to read some more chess books. This is not going great so far. If it takes, I have to take with a b after b5. Try to keep alive by going rook to b1 next. But structurally, it's not exactly what I had envisioned. With my trusty laptop. So the flagging might be a little harder. We shall try anyway. What is this? Let's LOL Gamer going for tactics. Rook b4, rook a6. That works. Wow. I thought it was panic, but he had a point. Anyway, if I here and then get my bishop out of the way, his b pawn should still be fairly weak, no? Still, LOL boy is playing well. I'm not. The usual scenario. Ahead on the clock, playing badly. So it seems like not too much has changed. Now I would like to take this pawn of yours somehow, sir. Not obvious how to get my greedy, somewhat sunburnt hands on it. Give me that. Nope, that's not gonna work. Glorious victory. All right. I'm doing some clicking here. Check back in. With the chat, I'm so sitting on a desktop of all my screens, doing all this maneuvering on a little laptop. It sounds very tough. Seems very tough to me. What's happening? People are whining about the weather. It's pretty decent weather here. The aircon for this show was a bit noisy, So I am and sweating on a long sleeve shirt for the first since I arrived in Thailand. You guys can see the length that I'm going to keep this going. Let me play Talas or Tom. I'm not sure what it is, but opera. Why does this keep happening? Mr. Talas from Greece. E4. I read all these books about, oh, there's one book about sacrifice and initiative, all these knights on d5 and f5 in the Sicilian. But yeah, it's a world that I'm afraid will remain foreign to me. Talas, however, plays the Pierz, which is an opening one should generally not be afraid of, even though sometimes it scares me. Sometimes strong players, like Van Houwen, the Thailand Open, was it last year or 2 years ago, plays it against me. Then, sir, I want to crush you. And often that message itself is so demoralizing for me that I might get into trouble. Even against the Pierz. Knight bd7, I'm not so familiar with. I'm not 4 is the typical reaction there. Knight f3 or f3 or h3, whatever floats your boat, are obviously possible. b5, e5 looks consistent, even though bishop d3 also made some sense, because now if he goes b4, I'm not really in time, or at least it doesn't give me to go e takes f6. So actually, now that I think about it, I think e5 was sort of wrong. And I should have started with bishop to d3, because here b4 looks like it's giving black a fairly decent position. You want to be b4 with knight to e4, like in that game. Which one was it? Shankland Nepomniachtchi. And white typically gets position. But here e5 was fairly ridiculous, to be perfectly frank. What to do? Have to put the knight on a silly square, because yeah, ef6 of course only works after bc3. There's a bishop to be grabbed on g7. Well, now, yeah, black is just doing fine. This knight is strong on d5. You can choose to exchange it on e3, or to keep it there, just develop with bishop g7 or bishop a6, or whatever comes to mind. It should be a fairly decent position. However, the good thing about being white moving first is that you generally get a bit of leeway for stupid stuff like what I just did. I don't like this knight takes e3 followed by d5. Position might still be decent, but like you get fairly reasonable sort of French style position. We had many tempting options. Knight g3 looked good. e6 looked interesting. Could maybe make a case for g4 as well. Somehow h4 does seem like a reasonable option too. Normally I start my sentence and then I thoughts about what I was going to conclude in the second part of it. But who says h also has to say e. So e6 it is. I was going to say after h5, but I'm no longer so convinced. After f takes e6, if queen takes e6, knight f6, queen c6, bishop to d7, and it looks like he actually gets fairly reasonable play. So after e, I might just play a move like knight f3, intending knight f6, bishop build up an initiative, pawn hunting. So what do you think? Tell us. Takes knight g3 as announced. And yeah, the drawback of meeting this h4 with h5 is, of course, that now your pawn on g6 is always pretty weak. And this could tell in such a position. Looks quite uncomfortable for black. King f7, knight e5 is an option. Rook g8 might be the best chance, but still knight e5 look good to me. I guess he's going to try knight to g4. Then I have, once again, a reasonable array of strong-looking options. G4, hg, maybe just h5 to try to get something inside. Maybe just probably play h5. Maybe just against long castles, but the need for that move. Not sure my king is best placed. They should play knight g4. Is not an easy, a powerful piece. Leaving it alone really won't help black. So knight g4. Black only move. Jump top. There's no way back. Taking his no other move, so he should have done this more quickly. And now I have to decide between queen e2, tending to take this pawn, or h5 as mentioned, or long castles. And which will it be? Queen e2, I guess he should go bishop to g7. Then queen takes g4, bishop takes d4. Bishop e6, king where? Clear. I think I'll stay. First intention to just go h5 and try to make something happen while Talas is finishing up development. What exactly that something happening could be, I'm not sure yet. I'm hoping for bishop to d7, which looks like an obvious move. When I have rook to h8, rook takes, bishop to checkmate. But probably he will not fulfill that little dream. He does not. That's a little sad. b3 check a threat, not a big threat, but something to keep in mind. Yes, I'll take a timeout. Get my king out of the danger zone. The problem is now he can play bishop d7 as he does, because rook h8 takes bishop g6, no longer breaks through, since the king now has the d8 square. This is playing well. I will start the welcoming party for Mr. King on the queen side by trying to open it up. a3, and now queen e1, covering the rook on a1 and threatening a takes b4. But he still is playing well by generating some counterplay against the d4 pawn. Yeah, I'm not sure I like my position here. He has the move b3, which looks a bit annoying. Guess I'm gonna have to be very go queen takes b4 because ab bishop d4 might be okay for me, but I should look at the position. Rook a6 is not really beyond my calculating capacities, to be honest. So yeah, maybe ab4 was worth a try. The move he played, rook h8, was still there. Yeah, black is still fine. This looks like a bit of an empty gesture. It looks nice to drag my king to g3, but will you really be able to hurt it there? In d8, I might also ask some questions about your king. Not sure how many questions, to be honest, but some. One or two. Very mild questioning. Bishop d4 looks like an overreaction, at least after queen g8, king f2. I don't see that many more checks. Trying to think of some mating construction. Is this mate? Queen c5, king c7, knight b5, king d8. He runs away. Very sad. So what about queen a5? Just checking the waters. King c6. I will go back. Nope, don't see a mate. So that means my play was careless as usual. Should have 1, g3, g1, queen e3 would be kind of more humble pie. This was very. As always, the trusty old clock. But yeah, not a very impressive game, starting with the move 7e5, which really made no sense. b4. The way to play these positions is to start with bishop d3. Let's say plays bishop b7. Now e5 gains in strength because b4 can be met with knight e4, which is obviously a nicer square than what I had in the game where I put my knight on e2. Anyway, thanks for the game, Mr. Talas. Let's see. What else we have on display here? Scrolling my challenge. So thanks everybody for showing up. This late night session in Thailand, where it is approaching me, and I will play against Elvis, my boy. Elvis. I get the white pieces for the third time in a row, which is nice, and Elvis chooses the Caro-Kann. Knight f6, very sharp move. Bishop g4 is still a bit more popular, but knight f6 has been gaining momentum, especially among those looking for a sharper game who don't want to play these sort of doubt positions after bishop g4 followed by bishop takes f3. And these lines after queen to b6, d4, e, g3, c5 can get very, very sharp. Knight e2, of course, looks like a little strange move, but why knight on e4? Well placed. I might chase it, or might even try to trap it. And you have to spend not that useful move, queen b6. I'll make sure it does not go around with d3, d4. Elvis, my boy, is going into queen b6 is the radical move. I'm not sure if there are alternatives. I was just thinking g4. Probably bad for some reason. I'm not 100% why. And yeah, he does go queen b6 maybe. He had to fire up his Lucas Winterberg Caro-Kann series. I don't know. Yeah, this is the main line. What do they play? They play knight to g3 usually. I think I've also seen somebody go knight f4 once. But yeah, knight g3 after c5. I think you go bishop to d3. Try to generate some attacking chances. There's also this move. Knight back to g1 instead of knight g3, but don't want to get too fancy. Ugh, this looks like some Nimzovich my system position where you sacrifice this pawn and then you defend the e5 pawn with all your pieces and you hope that good things will happen to you. Knight c6, I could go c3, but I like this move better. And then back to Mr. Nimzovich and his genius idea of overprotecting the e5 pawn 18,000 times. Because that pawn has a lot of dormant energy. What was the reasoning? I can never figure out why. Now I go b4, bishop e3, maybe. Grab some more space all over the place. a5 is a good move, stopping my plan of grabbing all that space. Not sure if I should have reacted with a4. Pros and cons as usual. Fixing the pawn here and pronouncing the weakness of the b5. Also make structure on the queen side somewhat inflexible. Now that he's castled here, this king is finally becoming somewhat of a target. So I can try to expose it by going g4, g5, or I also have the plan of going bishop c2, queen to d3, threaten checkmate. I guess he wants to meet that 6 after bishop c2. So g5 looks more logical to me. Elvis, my boy, playing well. So might be under some mild pressure, but very here if he goes f6, I'm actually not sure who's better and why. e7 feels slow. We'll just bring more attackers. Because that's what they tell me in all these attacking books that I've been reading, that it's usually a good idea to have more attackers than defenders and all this. Invite party stuff. Also, I just want to cover the pawn. Now he goes f6. This looks like a worse version than going f6, followed by gf immediately. Bishop f6 he can do, but his king should become quite weak on g8 with these two guys missing. Question is, how do I exploit that? Bishop g6, there's still knight to e7, so that's not immediately breaking through. I could go back. Should be one e3 plan maybe. Let's see how Elvis, my boy, is to react to that. e5, fairly decent reaction. Since I said bishop b1, I should also say queen d3 and hope there is a mate after bishop e6, queen h7, while here I can take on d5 with a nasty little intermediate check, which is probably bad news for Elvis. By the way, I'm not a big Elvis student. Elvis, my boy, is that a reference to stuff he liked, or is it to different Elvis? What are we talking about here? g6, pairing checkmate, but now I have eaten a couple pawns while position remains pretty exposed, of course. Queen g6 wins, but it feels a bit rabbit-hearted here for my standards to exchange queens here after queen h4. The game really shouldn't last very long. Although Elvis doing his best to hang in there. Try to bring Mr. Rook into the proceedings. This has some tactical drawbacks now. Rook e3, queen h8 is checkmate, and after queen f6. At the very least, I could win a rook with queen takes f6. I guess knight g5 is also sort of checkmate. But if it's sort of checkmate or winning a rook, take the rook, checkmate later. Good old Soviet school. And Elvis, my boy, does resign. Thanks for the game, Elvis. I'll just keep it rolling. Shouldn't be doing too much fancy clicking around here. And I will manage to find a new opponent. Good old Johan Wilhelm has been around for a long, long time. So sometimes I crush Johan Wilhelm before he starts harboring thoughts of taking over. And what better way to crush anybody than with Berlin defense? Of course, after d3, bishop c5 is the regular and correct move. But I can't resist setting this devious trap that he can't go. Knight takes e5. because of c6 and queen a5 check. If he doesn't fall for that, I have to admit that 97 might not have made that much sense, but there is still hope that this knight will have a better future on this farm where I sent it to live out his older years. Not sure if I want to commit to d6 or d5 yet, or if it makes sense to play some developing move. I guess it's fairly unlikely that I will be able to go d5 in one go. So you could certainly have argued for playing d6 as well. But now, for example, case could be made for e4. d5, knight takes e4. How bad can it be? This looks pretty good for black. Now I can maybe start asking some questions already. Like, what are you planning to do about Mr. F2? Looks somewhat awkward because after queen e2 I can repeat my question. There is no great answer from white's point of view. Bishop e3. At the very least I can take, and then queen takes e3, knight takes f4, and queen takes e3, queen takes b2. Well, e3, knight f4 might also be an option, and this rook f1. It's a reasonably standard tactic using the weakness of the g3 square to win the exchange, which should also be pretty good for me. Might even induce resignation, Johan Willem. Do you want to continue? Or have you seen enough? Nope. He says, I'm not yet convinced, but maybe bishop f4. Bishop f5. I should be able to name the squares at least in all my braggadocio. I don't know. We shall continue. Let's interview the e5 pawn next. Somewhat sloppy move, as usual, but still very, very winning. It's a little hard to give my beautiful bishop for this useless knight on b1. One should not look at what leaves the board, but we should look at what remains on the board. And what remains on the board is a very winning position for me. So, shouldn't complain too much. Maybe I should have taken that bishop with queen a6 and queen takes a4. Yeah, some more tactics trainer or some more training. As in, stop paying attention once you're completely winning. Might be in order. The good news is, if you are completely winning, there's often a bit of margin because of that completely winning situation. Okay, time to stop messing around. I only have a minute left on my silly little touchpad. So, let's get this over with, Johan Willem, shall we? I can't do it alone. We have to cooperate. I think I've proved that I can't do it alone. Still, resign is a very, as it has been, move 13. And Johan Willem has made pass move. Therefore, yep, here we are. He has seen enough. Thanks for the game, Johan Willem Möbius. Who's next? Mr. Like in 71. Time for Caesar, the Seaporn, to make an appearance. I've never liked these two G3 lines because if black plays C6, I could never really figure out what to do. He is saying he wants to play King's Indian, which in general one should just welcome. The same is not really my main line, but a line I always wished I knew better because it makes a whole lot of sense to me. You overprotect. The center black's by far best line has been shown to be the C5 business, when more often than not black players will be slightly, not out of their depth, but uncomfortable with the situation. Is this position where, who was it? Alpha Zero played H4? I think he played H4 here. Humans normally don't do. We're trained to go castles H4, knight H1, but we're also trained to blindly follow whatever the strongest engines do. And I think Alpha Zero played this H4 move in a game against Stockfish. And did he win? It was a weird game. But yeah, was at least a really fresh idea. I haven't had a deep look at it. But I did leave a mental note that it could be interesting. Typically you go A4 here to combat B5, but I'm not sure how well that mixes with H4. So I will allow him to play B5 and try to exchange a good bishop on G7. Always important to check that there's no tech before you go bishop H6, but with H5, H4, the usual tactic, like knight takes followed by queen H4 check. No longer really works, so as far as there's no tricks. You can, of course, keep this bishop by going back to H8, but then maybe some dark start appearing over the king side at some point. No, I can't see anything wrong with it. He goes B5, allows me to exchange, which is also fine. Now I have to figure out how to arrange my pieces. Positional player Jan still is tempted to play A4, B4, and then try to regroup a knight to C4, but it does not really feel like that's in the spirit of the position. That's my problem. Alpha 0 for a second. And then 0. Then with these weak pawns on H4, where you have no clue what to do next. As you could probably see by my mouse movements, I was trying to figure out if I should castle queenside or kingside. Kingside does look a bit strange because it does not keep an eye on this H4 pawn. However, the king still feels somewhat safer there, and there is some hope that I could still generate a bit of an initiative on this part of the board. Now the question is, can I play F4? I guess not really. So I will have to cover Mr. H4. But yeah, once again, probably not a game that will make Game Changer Volume 2. Even though this endgame doesn't look hopeless for me, or not hopeless, I mean, it looks slightly better for me because of these potential weaknesses over here. Still have to figure out how to go about them. F5 is a good move. F4 certainly comes to mind, then knight E7. Some move like bishop D3 or bishop F3, bishop A6. That doesn't seem to do very much. I'm not sure if this is a positional move. Bishop takes, Might not be great, not sure. Another idea was to play a move like a4 or bishop b5, trying to clamp down on the light squares, but there's not really that much clamping to be done. Bishop d7. So I'm trying to the issue with a3. Trying to confuse the issue. Not considered to be the highest level of chess. Not sure how good that was. Oh, problem. I can't really see the chat or that window. Where the 17 people that are watching this train wreck have been like, remove the thing from the other thing. I do apologize for the thing being in your face there. Now my phone is ringing. Yes. And that's the family checking that I'm still hanging in here in Thailand. Hanging in Thailand, but I'm not sure great in this game. Did I have a, my plan was f4? What am I doing? I blame the phone call on everything, of course, but yeah. That was another insane move. On everything, I said. Unlike these guys on Family Guy that kind of speak English, but not really. These two surfer dudes. I was more worried about bishop takes g4 here. It looked like I have a little Zwischenschach. This should be good for me, no? I took a fairly crucial central pawn at least. b3 knight d2 you want? Do we have to make this a race? Rook c1, there's also knight takes b2. I can't take on c5 because of knight d3 check, I was going to say. Yeah, once again, not exactly flawless technique. Can't even think about knight d3 check, king e3, knight takes e5 now. Which I sort of missed. Now that I've spotted it, I should at least not allow my d pawn to fall with check after king e3. Therefore I went to f3. King j8 looks like a mistake. No, my knight comes with great force. Great horse. And this should be bad news for Mr. Just Like It. Because he will get checkmated if he takes that pawn, knight f6 check. Followed by king f8 d6. If he doesn't take it, he will probably also get checkmated. Very hard to parry. Rook f7 checkmate here. And therefore, Just Like It does resign. Thanks for the game. That was a tough struggle. going. Noobs here. RWE in the building. KTRWE. Maybe it's a German name. KT. Klaus Thomas RWE. Maybe RWE is his employer. G3, D5, Bishop G2. Very playable setup. Typically, I don't do it because I just optically don't like having these pawns, these black pawns occupying the center that early on. There's nothing particularly wrong with it. D4 is rare. I guess both E4 and E takes D are okay. And knight F3 turns us into a gambit because I will keep that pawn. I'm aware of Kati RWE's rating and that I shouldn't be too harsh. But I should give decent advice at least so that we can learn from it. This gambit, yeah, it's not completely pointless, but it's still hard to believe that white gets enough for his pawn here. I would not recommend it. Having said all that, I still need to develop a lot of pieces on the king side, and Kati RWE can try to use that time by targeting my queen side. Queen a4, I'm not sure, makes sense by introducing this knight e5 idea, but I thought queen c2 maybe to go after this what's called c5 pawn immediately was a more tempting choice. Get rid of the queens and then hopefully catch up in development, because I'm still lacking a bit there. But yeah, now I do feel like I'm fully caught up. I've watched all 7 seasons and I'm very ready for season 8 of this game to begin. April 16th or when is it? Still, Kati RWE is playing well. I should maybe also do that once in a while. It's so hard. Knight d5, not a great move. Bishop to d6. I was hoping to hanging knights, but I can't really see how. After bishop d6, so I might just have to be humble. Now after f5, because it might be short of squares. D5 is hanging too, so that's fine. Nah, I'll still be. Now I will repeat that question, since this diagonal has been blocked. It has become somewhat tougher to answer. Very rare that this knight gets trapped in the middle of the board. But it does happen, as we can see here. This that the game is over, which Kati RWE also recognizes and calls it a game. Thanks for playing, Kati RWE. I will move on to Mr. Jose Moya. Are you there, Jose? My laptop is aching. Close everything. That was to run. Is it enough? Moya does not seem to be around. It's a pity. to the great length of checking back in with the chat. Sorry, I should try to optimize this process for the next time. Banter Blitz. Thank you guys for your patience. Shut up, Jan. So what's happening, chat? Michael Paliska is saying today interacting with chat. Fair enough. Vielmas is saying, hi Jan. Lost it. No, I don't. It's like we're still running, which is good news. And I will hopefully crush Mr. Carlos Trujillo Martin mercilessly. So let's start on this. Yeah, I'm sorry about these constantly weird looking screens. I'm getting old, boys and girls. All these windows to shuffle around on this. Or is it 14-inch laptop screen? Too much for him. Nada Zamish. Maybe. You can still play d5, or c5, or e6, or knight c6. But I have a feeling Carlos Trujillo Martin is a King's Indian aficionado. And we will Samish it up again. Here we are. I had c5 in the last game, which I also consider to be the best move. Knight bd7. I'm not sure if this is the best move, but it's a motive worth remembering. That often in these structures, the knight is quite well placed on f2, where it's not blocking this bishop and all that. So if black goes knight at an early stage, it's often a good idea to go knight h3. And then after c5, we go d5, knight e5, I'll go knight f2. And white tends to get a fairly pleasant setup. e6, bishop e2, and is somewhat more harmonious, if you guys recall this game from whenever it was, 2 games ago, where my knight was on g3, and he had all these awkward h5 to deal with. Here on f2, the knight is fairly safe, and actually, via e2, g3, it often ends up on f2 anyway, because later you often go knight h1, followed by knight f2. So here I only spent to get there, instead of the 4 on the other line. Therefore, I think Trujillo Martin is spending some time. Bishop d7 looks somewhat wrong because it's taking the retreat square from this knight. And after my cunning little developing move, bishop to e2. Now this knight is trapped. The game is not fully over yet because he can take and play b5, but it's hard to believe that there will be enough compensation. And yeah, we see now the advantage of the knight on f2, that it controls a g4 square, therefore making sure poor horsey has nowhere to go. Sorry, poor horsey. Carlos is squares, but there just aren't any. c4, f3, g4, and most importantly d, where your bishop took the rightful square for the knight. Sort of a Gendry. Now my Game of still NBA playoffs and Game of Thrones is starting. So last part of Jan monoculture stuff I can actually talk about to other people, because everybody might be seeing it, is finally arriving. Because for now, yeah, I'm sure I've whined about this a lot, but we don't have a consensus show anymore. So everybody's just watching their own niche things on their Netflixes, HBOs, Amazons. And we don't really talk about them, which is maybe not half the fun, but like 28% of the fun that you can talk or have a communal experience, like watch the podcast and read the reviews at least, if you don't have friends like me that you can talk to shows. Game of Thrones is all we have left. Not change because we have too much stuff. Also, here Martin is a disaster match. Yeah, back to 7 Carlos, which took the square for United. Now, of course, peace down. It's gonna be tough, even though if you've seen my previous games, it's become pretty clear that one should never ever resign against me, because I will find some way to do something very, very dumb and have the fight resume with new vigor. Bishop d4 is already somewhat dumb, because once again, this is the square the knight wants to go to. But this extra piece stuff and so on is, of course, somewhat helpful. Carlos is making sensible moves. So am I. Both sides are making sensible moves. The side with more pieces tends to do well. I'll keep the queen side closed. He doesn't have pass pawn on c3, but it's not going to go anywhere. And then I can hopefully focus my efforts on the king side without distractions. It's time to get this party started. e5 was good too, or knight to g4. But once the knight abandons this e5 outpost, it felt like f5 was also a very viable way to do this. Maybe time to bring the queen a little closer. Apologies. Winter is coming. Yeah, we have this. Apart from my extra piece, we also have this thing I talked about earlier, that if you have a lot more attackers than defenders, then generally good things will happen. And here, hg4, gf7 is checkmate, and therefore Carlos Sofia Martin does resign. Thanks for the game. I might hear my voice. Second. Shut up, Jan. Thanks. I'm reading. It seems like Jan is streaming presidential palace in Yanistan. Not quite, not quite. I'm streaming from my what's it called resort on Summit. It's a nice room. Walk up a lot of stairs. And again, probably would be the same. My ivory tower office will also be very, very high up in the air. 200 meters away. Beach. And it's also working fine even. I had to trick it to get internet to allow me to upload. We had some teething earlier. But it looks like we're running the usual for the not ideal tech issues. But yeah, you when I'm in the office as well. That's so. Sorry, but not too. I will continue playing games against Mr. Kilic Hussein, number 1. Who goes e4? Time for Cecilia to make its rare appearance on this show. Not sure I play some Sicilian. I even play some dragons. Not very often, though. I'm not a big dragon fan, even though every now and then the idea to revisit it and try to make it playable does pop into my head. But I'm so scared of the main lines. Bishop e3, f3, queen d2, long castles, d5, whatever, queen e1, or even e takes d5, or knight g4, or 9 bishop c4. I'm scared of all the main lines as a problem. And if there's not that much to hope for, why play the dragon? Then again, it does lead to more unbalanced positions than my usual e4, e5 boring stuff. So, of course, that is a very good reason to play it. And we just saw, who did it? Nakamura played it in the US Championship. No, he plays the dragon, not very often, but every now and then as a surprise weapon, especially in must-win or want-to-win situations. And he won a key game. It was against Ray Robson. So it would certainly be nice to be able to play the dragon currently. My dragon is not in great shape. d3 looks like a decent setup actually. Queen a5, knight d5 is not an issue yet, but note to self, don't blunder knight d5 followed by knight takes e7, please. You just get too upset. We don't want to ruin my last 2 days of quietly lying at the beach without my usual anxiety about my draw strength, about potential economic disasters, meaning of life, all that stuff. So try not to blunder it. For once, here comes Kilic threatening knight to d5. But now I'm sort of ready, because now I can take on d2. Knight e7 no longer works because of king f8. And therefore he quite correctly switches gears and goes f4. I'll play. There's no further explanation needed. Bishop maybe attacking the I'm not sure I can always take it. You can't go queen e3 because then knight g4 wins. So at least asking some questions. Maybe he did not listen to me. This seems to be just game over. HG bishop d4 picks up the queen. And a3. Even queen takes d4 gets the job done. Although there's probably more efficient solutions like knight to takes f2 or bishop takes d4. So yeah, that asked quickly killed you saying number 1. I apologize. Well, I don't really apologize, but I feel your pain. Trying to find a way out. But I don't think again there were other reasonable moves, but this does seem like an obvious good one. Because I think if we do a body count at the end of all this, not favor white. And maybe killing Hussein number one will come to the same conclusion around here. And call it a game. Nope, not yet. His spirit is unbroken, as is my phone connection. And Killer Hussein does resign. Thanks for the game. Let's play Aiken. Aiken? Mr. Triacon, are you with us? Oof, 20 past midnight in Thailand. I'm jet lagged, so I've been not really going to sleep before 3 a.m., so I can't claim I'm overly tired, even though I'm slowly trying to get into a more productive tournament. Maybe not stay. And also, this is really nice here. So I'd like, and they only from they only till 10 a.m. Got it. Schedule to that. Triagon resigns. No, does not show up. Doesn't resign, unfortunately. But I have to find somebody else. And wow, we have a FIDE master. You there? Grieve 72. 72, your DOB. YOB. More importantly, are you around? I'd like to check in with chat. That will break my carefully orchestrated screen layout. Oh, he goes for this line. Didn't you study the Magnus Carlsen Banter Blitz against Peter Svidler or the Pepe Cuenca video series on this very topic? The good news for you is I didn't. So I'm out of book after e5, but I do know that this line is not supposed to be very good. Then again, I do not know why. Fancy move like knight to h3. Or is that much of the position? Fe4 looks fairly reasonable as well. But queen h4 check scared me a little bit. And knight h3. After d6, I could think about knight to g5 or bishop to g5. Both possible looking options. And I think g5 it is. It's hard to believe that he can get away with ef3, queen f3. At least I would think so. And if not, queen a5 could be a move, then at least I can take on e4 with a knight, attack d6 at the same time. So it shouldn't be too bad. Knight f6, that's probably sensible. I will have to rethink the situation. I guess I'll just... h6 is legal, but after knight f3, knight takes e4, bishop d3. Does look fairly scary for black. e4, h6, you could argue is a little weakening. So, not that clear, I have to admit, but I still like to think that I'm better. Not sure if it helps me that I like to think it actually not h5. It's an annoying move here. I should have played bishop e2, not bishop d3. Well, what's done is done. This knight g4, also legal. But I did not really see a very bright future for this knight here. And if I manage to castle, go bishop g5, then things could turn ugly. Maybe I'm way too optimistic about all of this. But here I was happy, but knight h5 I had missed. Well, not thought about it from afar. And there, I don't think I'm that happy. Queen Not sure I have to protect that pawn, but I also have a particular reason not to. It's a somewhat meek move, queen c2. Maybe bishop d2 was better. I want to use this bishop more actively, or you could say the same thing about the queen. And sometimes there's ideas with b5, c takes b, b4 here. He plays this stuff, but this looks too slow to me. Like this plan I also learned from some old, I think Dave Norwood book, knight b6, bishop d7, bishop a4. Here, I just don't see how you're in time, grief 72. I think the situation might give you some grief. Future. Bishop d7 looks like only move, rook f7, knight g5 just wins. So he has to go bishop d7, and then I wait, collecting the exchange rook e8. I don't buy at all. I have to figure out how to get the job done, but this cannot work. Knight g4, knight takes e5, both look fairly strong. Reading all these attacking books, like normal Jan would play knight takes e5, knight d2 is the move. This is Jan. Play like. Not sure what's a good comparison. It's not really like Tal or Velimirovic or any famous attacking player. But it's me after I read books on these people. Spassky, by the way, fantastic attack. I sort of knew that, but reading Sokolov's book reminded me of an attacking force Spassky was. And yeah, everybody should very much, if you're into this kind of thing, look at Spassky's games. Because he was brutal. It was a bit sad that his main legacy nowadays is the Fischer match. And the guy produced so many great games. As for the position, like very winning. Not sure where the checkmate will come, but I'm fairly certain that it will come. Just once again, not really enough defenders of the realm. Queen a4, pretty sure I could also take, which I'm not sure Tal would approve of. Maybe he would, it's just winning. You know what? A leopard cannot change his spots. This looks like a fairly decent solution to me. Bishop e2 also. Sort of a standard attacking technique that, if there's only one defender around, makes a lot of sense to exchange it, especially for my bishop on d3 that wasn't doing a whole lot. And the problem with knight f4 is that here this king will not have a lot of squares. So that once again escalated quickly. Thanks for the game, Grief 72. I'd use a complicated procedure to get that again. Where Dan 90712 saying, is Jan streaming from Thailand playing the right now? Or why is it Banter Blitz? No, out open yet. It starts on the 6th, which technically is after midnight. Isn't too, but I'm still on the lovely little of Koh Summit, where I'm banking some sun. And I'll go to Bangkok. It's gonna be tough. Yeah, take the ferry speedboat from to get to the mainland. And so I'm very awkward about everything. Probably I'll just carry my giant suitcase to the ferry. I hope they take me. Then you can take a bus. just hope get Thailand to cook. And yeah, I hope manage somehow. But since I myself, but also in general, reasonably awkward asking people. It's gonna be an adventure. Let's hope that our will also be an adventurous journey. I think more, and then call it a blitz. And 9106. Saying the sound is pretty bad, or is it just? It's not really. High-tech equipment here. I am on my laptop with microphone, the laptop camera, the hotel internet stuff. So apologies for all of the above and the teething problems early on. But I want to check in with you guys, show off my sunburn, because you know how it goes for us very, very white boys. You lie in the sun for just a couple hours, boom, red. Because I normally don't see that much sun during the year. Actually, humble brag coming. I think Magnus literally asked me in the sauna somewhere why I was so effing white. And I had no good reply except for I'm such a hard worker that I spent all my days in this windowless studio in Hamburg, Germany, where if you're lucky you get like 17 sunny days per year anyway. So the sun and I, we like each other, or I like her at least, but we're not a natural match when it comes to, you know, soothing my skin. But as a consistent German tourist, I feel I have to push it tomorrow and the day after. Get as sunburned as possible. Or as my friend Simon used to say, it has to turn red before it can turn brown. So that's the mission. No more sunscreen. Tomorrow we go all in. As for the game, Edith played the move 3 bishop b4, which I've also fooled around with mainly as a way to get out of book and get sort of a fresh position. I think the most critical move is a3. I wasn't in the mood, and now we transpose to the main line of the Gregosian, where c6 is not what people usually do. It's not a mistake, but transposing to this Carlsbad structure doesn't mix so well with having a bishop on b4. So they go c5, or they go castles, or they go h6, or they go f5. There's lots of theory, but the c, and especially his next move, b6, make a whole lot of sense to me. b6, my guess is the idea is to get this bishop exchange very quickly by putting it on a6, but that looks a somewhat flawed plan. Because we've had a game earlier where I even spent some time to provoke this b6 move to get this target on c6, and here doing it unprovoked just feels way too slow. So yeah, don't do that, Edith Faitelson. Both c6 and b6. And no, I was wrong. He doesn't want to go bishop a6. He wants to go bishop b7. But my not a big fan stance very much stands. In these positions, I always hope for castle, bishop takes h7 check. Never happens, but I never stop believing. Yeah, this looks awkward for black already. Strange, given that I use awkward I am at pronouncing it. Bishop h7 is a bit for show. I'm not sure if that's a better move than knight to e5 or the immediate bishop f5. But sometimes you can scare people into thinking, wow, that dude is really smart if you do something like bishop h7 to slightly misplace the king and then give the check. Then put the bishop on f5. So it's like a fake subtlety. I'm never sure which version is better. Just as I'm never sure where to place my rooks, like rook fd1 probably looked a bit more natural than rook ad1, but I had some reason for it. Rook c8 in these structures, the problem is typically knight to e5, and you end up in all kinds of unpleasant diagonals. No, he can't take, because bishop takes c8 with knight takes e5 is a move you really want to play here. if you can't do it, bishop f6 is a threat that has to be addressed. So the only move I can think of, rook c7. Then I once again a bunch of rooks. g3. He goes rook a8, but yeah, that's not great for the obvious reason that I want to tempi, and knight e5 is a pretty nice tempo to have. Not sure that I could have thought about cashing in a more direct way here, but I'm happy going f4, preparing rook f3. And then come after the king. As we all know, if you aim at the king, you should not miss. Oh, king g8, indicating my earlier bishop h7 check. Okay, how do I break through here? Actually, in spite of all his sins, it's not that obvious how to end this. For me, it's not. This feels a little clumsy with the bishop. On h4, rook h3 felt a bit more natural. There's no. Okay. No genius combinations available yet. Knight f7, king f7. Should be e6. 7 is probably up. A little too much from the position. Should e6. Move f equal. F rook g7 wins. Okay, that's cute. E5 is a better defense, so I'm not sure if it's objectively great. But once again, this sacrifices book had a horrible effect on me. I'm still bad at it, but now I'm looking for them. Well, earlier, in my world, sacrifices didn't really exist. Like sometimes they sacrifice something and you have to defend. And of course, sometimes position demands it, but I've never really tried to win these fierce attacking games. Probably I still should. It's hard to change your world. Unfortunately, it does not fall for my very deep trap. The good news is that f e6 is still bad because of queen to g6. So black should still be. I have to figure out how to get this done. This looks like a good move, no? Yeah. Not the only good move. Bishop f7 was also not exactly bad, but this looks more fun. And yeah, that's it. Eat it. Or I did it again. G5 does prolong the game, but not for that long. Hg runs into rook h3 or queen h5 checkmate. It's still an uphill battle here. Rook f8. I might have 8. Can I still do it? Queen j is checkmate, just for the record, but I am suffering from what they call fancy play syndrome in poker, and I'm very tempted to go queen g7. I'm not sure if it's mate, so let's check. King g7, bishop f, king h7. Ugh, I love such an asshole. If I think 5 minutes, I go queen j checkmate. I can't do that. So, but I will queen 7 wins. Down to 27 seconds. 7, bishop f6, bishop h8 is mate, right? Sorry, Edith, I didn't mean to be rude making you wait there in a winning position. I'm just a slow calculator, so I needed a while to find. Thank you for the game. All right, last one. Any big bullies left on or playground? Nope, no big bullies. Play Zilvo instead. What does Zilvo do again? He likes all kinds of exotic gambits. Is that you, Zilvo? I could be wrong. I have a feeling we've had our battles, probably mainly. In Bullet? Was this a good move? It's out of fashion, and there was a reason, I think, why it fell out of fashion. Just trying to recall that reason. I played it once or twice, like 10 years ago. Then it had a brief popularity. I think knight c6 was the problem with it. Knight b6 doesn't look like much of a problem. Now I guess I just occupy the center and enjoy life. And typically, the queen goes to b3, and then you go knight b6. But here, where it went to c2, and unforced knight b6. Looks a little passive somehow. Still get interesting if he goes bishop f5, e4, bishop g4, knight e5, something. But it yes, c6 is another move in that vein, after which black's position looks very passive to me already. I guess he was waiting for e4 to go bishop g4 and one go then. But I would like to be handed that tempo, sir. Taking this pawn looks very risky. Worst case scenario, I have bishop e5, even though I'm not sure position after bishop takes e5. So I will probably not do that and look for something better. What that something could be. e5 comes to mind, bishop h6 comes to mind. It just feels like there should be something good, but maybe bishop e5. Good. And yeah, he probably correctly castles. After which I once again have a choice between some tempting moves. e5. Mind. Or other good moves. Which is what I tried to say when I said I had a choice between some tempting moves. Yeah, e5, of course, commit, and then it gives up this square. But if it can't be occupied by both knights quickly, it's normally a good situation for white. Here, it's going to be a struggle for me to decide if I want to play active chess or play like I usually play. Can't pull the trigger. It's probably not a bad thing, right? But queen b3 feels. I feel bad about queen b3. It's the pawn hunting option, but yeah, it was just weak. I'm upset now. I don't think this is how the position was supposed to be treated. Having said all that, haha, I'm a pawn. Is it time to return home after my glorious robbery? Or should I keep in the danger zone for a little longer? Let's keep it simple. I know my moves do not look very active, but I hope at least that's mainly I didn't want to blunder an exchange to knight d2. That was the main purpose. Yeah, actually. I haven't played this well at all. I'm still better, but it's now really tough to win. Because black is active. And my bishop on f3. Not that much. Rook comes to c8, knight to c6. Yeah, this was an astounding success. So stupid. To make amends for all my former sins of passivity, I will now play some recklessly aggressive moves. And then some recklessly passive moves like bishop a1, but knight takes e5 was a threat. So as usual, I have an excuse. Alright, what do I need where in order to checkmate Mr. Silvo? Not sure if the rook should be on the h file or the g file, or both. Hmm. So is checkmate? Sort of. It's checkmate adjacent, I would say. Rook h8 wasn't exactly bad either. Sorry if I leaned creepily close to the camera. What's done is done. And Silvo resigns, yeah, after some fairly lousy. Well, he played fairly badly in the opening. Got this really bad position. But here I should find some more consistent way to play. Maybe bishop takes d5. Or after knight d5 cd. I have a suspicion that h4 is also strong here. But this pawn grabbing operation, which I went for, it's probably still fine. Somewhere around here, I lost the thread. Probably queen d3 was bad, because it allowed him knight c4 and a4.